And USC,
I think it was USC here 2 games ago. But anyway, the Huskies, Sarkisian, after he's been there 2 years, the Huskies will be back in contention.
yeah.
Let's. We've got a phone call here from Sam back in Ohio. Sam, what's on your mind?
Okay, quick question, and I think this gentleman is very qualified to answer it or answer it on his website. H.R. 2647, the new National Defense Bill, defines hate crimes, but they gave the Attorney General some very broad power to just define a hate crime just on the basis of what they call its extremist nature.
Such
The
as?
other provisions talk about anti-Semitism, xenophobia, white supremacy, which as a Jew I didn't feel like they had to call out anti-Semitism specifically, but they did. But then they say he can do it on the basis of extremist nature. And then further on in the bill, then they start to talk about evidence of association or affiliation with a hate group, and they have things like individuals possessing tattoos or other body markings indicating association or affiliation with a hate group. I'm wondering what I'm a member of a Tea Party group that if the Attorney General ever decides he wants to say that we meet these qualifications, I guess I'd be associated with a hate group. I was curious what the long-term legal implications of that are.
Well, we have a lawyer here.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I took constitutional law from John Yoo. I actually talked to him over the summer as I was doing a little bit of stuff with. Looking at doing some stuff with. Now I'm completely blanking.
I don't know. John Yoo, I think, has some constitutional problems.
Yeah, he's got. Yeah, I mean, with all the memos and stuff like that, they're trying to go back and basically prosecute. A lot of the lawyers and Justice Department officials that basically said. Gave Bush some recommendations. I'm against doing that. I mean, I think that you have to be able to give people the leeway to give the president, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, good faith advice. And sometimes, with a lot of legal stuff, it's gray area. It's like, hey, you think it's this, but one court can say this, and then it could turn into something else. And I think that the whole thing is just political grandstanding and ridiculous. Similarly, on this bill here, the H.R. 2647, I haven't read it. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know why they would have hate crime stuff in a national defense bill unless they're just trying to sort of sneak it in. But my vibe on all this sort of hate crime, if I understand what the caller's saying, sort of hate crime language or tattoos or whatever, I never liked that stuff. I always thought it was really silly and ridiculous. I think, look, if you beat someone up, that's assault. Or felony battery or whatever. You know what I mean? The crimes are already on the books. I don't know why it's that much worse if it was, motivated because someone's black, gay, Jewish, or whatever. You beat them up, right? And we have free speech here in America. You can call people all kinds of stuff, and that's protected by the First Amendment. I think any kind of incursions into our freedoms and liberty and the Constitution is a very dangerous thing. The difference, and I have something up on my MySpace page, but I've done a lot of, poli-sci was my undergrad degree, and I've studied, de Tocqueville to everything about it, all the big major relevant, nobody studies everything, but I mean all the big major relevant stuff, and we have a republic here, and what that means, that's unlike anything else, in most of the world out there, whether it's like pure democracy or kings and queens or dictators or whatever. And the difference is in all those other systems, it basically comes down to a small group of elites telling everybody else what to do. Here in America, we have a republic, and there's a constitution that gives all of us freedoms and liberties and rights and things that we can do on our own that checks the government, where there's things that they just can't do. So if you, Jack Stockwell, want to say, hey, I don't like your hat, on a public sidewalk, you can do that. But there's these elitists and these statists and people on the left want to take away your freedoms and your liberties and encroach on the Constitution.
Well, these elitists and these statists that you're referring to, I often refer to as the international cartel, the oligarchy, the international financial cartel, who realizes the last real stumbling block for internationalism, globalism, which is just another word for the New World Order.
Correct.
Is the United States and its economy and its productive capabilities. We have no more productive capabilities. I heard a commercial this morning by one of the talk show hosts who whose business is oriented towards refurbishing, reconditioning existing furniture,
Yes.
by saying that every piece of furniture you go to the store to buy today is coming from China, that it's junk, that it falls apart within a couple of days or a couple of months or so, which I've had experience in my clinic. Joseph, that just dawned on me why that stuff we've recently purchased is falling to pieces.
Wow.
I thought I was cursed.
Right.
But now I understand that stuff is coming from China. We have no more productive capability. We can't build a ship. We can't build automobiles anymore.
Right.
And all the money that you would spend on our productive capability is increasing the productive capability of the entire Asian rim. And so you have a situation now where the only thing that really stands in the favor of the United States is that the dollar is still the world's reserve currency, which could change any day.
Any day.
And it was one of my forecasts. I don't make predictions because my predictions are always wrong. So I forecast. And so I can get out of it if it doesn't work. I was just forecasting. I wasn't predicting. I'm still a prophet. I'm just forecasting. And as a forecaster, I said that they're very well by October 31st. When the real stuff hits the fan here in the next week or two, the dollar may well drop out of the world's reserve currency, and at that point you're going to see a hyper-deflationary spiral down to where everything in Walmart is going to be worth 2, 3, 4 times what you're paying for it now. Fuel will go to $6 a gallon by next summer.
Wow.
Just the beginning of the privations that is so neatly disguised as all the current Obama administration are all dedicated to this New World Order. Half of Bush's advisors were dedicated to the New World Order. Eisenhower's warning of the military-industrial congressional complex.
Yeah, there you go.
That got edited out.
There you go.
Hey, everybody, we'll be right back. We'll keep this going here in just a few minutes. I'm 58. I'm going to be 59 here in a couple more weeks.
You don't look it.
Well, thank you. I'll be 59 in a couple more weeks, and I've been deciding whether or not to get an earring in my left ear or a swastika tattoo on my forehead.
Right.
Now that would be a hate crime. That comes under the new hate crime.
I guess it would.
If I have a tattoo that someone else is offended by.
Right. That's what I think. That's what Sam's saying. I have to look at the bill, but this is the kind. They've been pushing this hate crime type of stuff for a long time. There are hate crime bills out there and laws out there already. They keep trying to encroach it more and more. And look, nobody likes. Not that many people like Nazism or swastikas or Satanism or any of the list. Racist stuff, whatever. I mean, look. I'm against all of that stuff, and we chastise people on the right as well when they get a little, out there with anything like that. We're not about that. We don't play that type of stuff. We're for everybody, and we're anti-discrimination on everything. Now, that being said, I will virulently defend anybody's right to say whatever they want to do. And so when you boil all this down, you look at it, what they're doing is they are taking away your right to say or do what you want, because they're trying to say you can't. We don't like what you're saying, Jack. We don't like that tattoo. We don't like that earring. We don't like something about you. And if you do it, we're going to get you.
Well, the freedom of speech, as you read the Bill of Rights there, of course, were the limitations on how far government could go. And the idea was that in a monarchy, you have to be kind of careful what you say. The idea that the founders had in mind was that the freedom of speech thing was oriented more towards being critical of your government. Now, the bent that the ACLU has now, and the bend that the government has, that the FTC has, that the FCC has,
there you go,
is towards one another, I think, as a bit of a ruse to take your mind away from being politically critical of the government. What we really have to do in order to stop the First Amendment is to stop hate crimes. And if we pile on all these hate crime possibilities and the horrible tragedy that happens in someone's life or their heart when they're publicly criticized, that could be considered a hate crime. If we can stop all that stuff, then criticism of the government will fall right in, and you won't be allowed to criticize the government. And if you look at the last political conventions, where the protesters were 3-4 blocks away behind chain link fences.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, the end of the First Amendment.
That's what I'm saying. So we're talking about we're talking about the Constitution, the founding document of our republic, the most critical, essential thing of what makes America, America. And then we have the Bill of Rights, explicit limits on federal power, rights for its citizens, you, me, your kids, you know, your neighbor. And the number one right, the first thing, freedom of speech, right to assemble, and they are attacking this hardcore. They want to brand the members of the Tea Party movement, moms, dads, you know, soccer moms out there as crazies, as extremists. They want to tell you what you can.
If you show up at a gun show, you're a terrorist.
That's right. I mean, they were saying that Janet Napolitano, former members of the military coming back, might be extremists. They want to try to get your show here and other shows with the fairness doctrine or diversity things or whatever like that. I mean, as Alexis de Tocqueville said, and you know, anyone can understand. If you have a situation where the government can control what you say, like the secret police, like Pravda, like the Basij over in Iran, you no longer have freedom.